Hello and welcome back to the Beefy Tech channel. Today we will be taking a look at Sons of the Forest, the brand new game that was just released and is everywhere right now. So I wanted to make a video on how the 4090, 3070 and 1070 would perform in this game. I know a lot of people would have graphics cards that are quite similar to these, better or worse albeit, so they would be able to scope out a bit how these graphics cards would perform in this game. Obviously the 4090 is the highest of the highest tiers, and it shouldn't have a big issue with this game. But for the 3070 and the 1070, it will be a bit more interesting. Mind you, the testing I'm doing isn't all at one set resolution. It is dependent on the graphics card, and I'll mention it within the video whenever we're changing resolutions and what resolution we're at. Mind you, all the testing will be done at Ultra except for the 1070, where I will change the settings to medium. Let's get things started and see how these graphics cards perform. Alright, we are here in Sons of the Forest at 1440p Ultra. Don't worry guys, I will test 4K just after this one. So, first things first, let's go over the settings. It is important to note that I did make the settings exactly how somebody would play this game, and it's outright just setting everything to Ultra. Obviously, on a 4090, this is not going to be a particularly big issue, but I did want to mention DLSS is turned off, the motion blur is turned off, and film grain is turned off, and my FOV is set to 95. It defaults to 70, just so you know. And as you can clearly see, the performance is not a particularly big issue at 1440p. Mind you, I am testing on a 4K screen, just set to 1440p so I can then switch to 4K and demonstrate the 4K performance. Let me activate the 0.1% lows and 1% lows so you guys have an idea of how those are. And as you can see, the 4090 has absolutely no issue driving 120 plus FPS in this game. And even while moving through foliage, the 1% lows and 0.1% lows remain pretty damn good. Overall, I'd say the game is actually well optimized given it looks so damn good and performs this well. But, as you can see, even with my GPU being completely stock, so no OC on it, it's not being maxed out at 1440p. So let's change that with 4K. I'm going to tab into here, click Options, go to Display, and switch to 4K. And let's see how the performance differs. Having switched to 4K, what you'll notice is that now the GPU usage is consistently at like 99%, but the FPS hasn't actually dropped that much, which is truly awesome to see. It means that the 4090 is more than capable of playing this game at 100 plus FPS at 4K resolution. Albeit those 0.1% lows will have to be reset just so you guys can get an accurate representation, because I tabbed into out of the game into the pause menu. So as you can see, the 1% lows and average frames are really good, and the 4090 has no issue running this game at all. But let's see if that stays true for the 3070 and the 1070. Mind you, those two I won't be testing at 4K, because as you can all assume, they simply won't run the game well at all at 4K. So I'll stick to 1440p for those. Alrighty then, here we are on the RTX 3070. As you can see, things have changed quite a bit, because at 1440p Ultra settings, the RTX 3070 is having an interesting time, but I'm gonna say it is a 60 plus FPS experience, thankfully. Let me turn on the 1% lows so you guys can get a good idea of how those look. And we're gonna move around a little bit here, see if we can get a bit more foliage. Mind you, I don't know what the performance difference is between the forest area and the snow area, because it did spawn me here because I didn't save last time. So this is a totally different game from the previous one. But looking currently at what the frames are like, I have to say I'm impressed that the 3070 is fully capable of driving like 70 FPS no problem in this game. Especially in this like snowy area where, as you can see, there's a lot of snow graphics and snow physics, sorry, that are need to be loaded on the go, and the 3070 has no issue dealing with that. In fact, the 1% lows and 0.1% lows are pretty damn good, just 20 under the average. So overall, at 1440p Ultra settings, the RTX 3070 has no issue running Sons of the Forest. Alright guys, moving on to the final GPU, the 1070. And now notice that I am at 1440p Ultra, and this thing is begging for its life. And no, I'm not talking about Kelvin over there, I mean the 1070. Yes, I'm fully aware that this is over a 7-year-old graphics card trying to run 1440p Ultra. Not only that, this graphics card was most likely intended for 1080p use. So, in that case, let's see how it performs at 1080p if 1440p is a bit too demanding to reach anywhere near that 60 FPS mark. Now, if we're gonna go into the options, then display and set it down to 1080p, we're gonna notice that, sadly, not that many frames were gained from this. To be fair, this is an extremely demanding game, especially at ultra settings, so I'm not particularly surprised that in a dense forest like this, 1440p is a bit too much, but I'll keep it a buck with you guys. Let me quickly reset the 1% lows over there. The gameplay is actually quite damn smooth. All things considered, this 40-something FPS gameplay does not feel bad, and if I was somebody on a 1070, I don't think I would be minding too much to turn the settings down on my 1080p monitor, specifically so I can enjoy a 60 FPS experience on this game. I mean, already at 50 FPS, it's more than playable in my opinion, especially given this is a single-player game, well, co-op, mind you, but I'm playing single player right now, and at this FPS, I don't find myself hindered in any way, shape, or form. But just for curiosity, let's turn the graphics down to medium and see what difference that makes. Alright, so as you can see, that does bring it near to a 60 FPS experience, but it will still occasionally drop below that. As you can see, it just depends towards which part of the map you're looking. Obviously, if you start looking towards the ocean with no trees in sight and there's less foliage, then it becomes a lot less of an issue and the game runs much better. But yeah, I don't think you want to have your gameplay focused around staying near the ocean so you can get higher frame rates. So my personal recommendation is that you just enjoy the game, set the settings to as low as you need to set them to get that 60 FPS mark or whatever you're satisfied with. And if all goes wrong and setting these low does not help, you can go here and just enable FSR or DLSS and you should not have any issues. With that said, guys, I hope this video is helpful to help you gauge roughly what performance a high-end GPU, mid-tier GPU, and lower-end GPU would be getting in Sons of the Forest. This game is beautiful, and I'm honestly excited to play it. Now, obviously, I'll be on the 4090, so I won't have to worry about much of a performance issue with it. But for you 1070 and 3070 users out there, let me just tell you, even at lower frame rates, the gameplay is just fine, and you can just enable VSync to have a slightly smoother experience at those lower frame rates. Regardless, guys, I hope the video is helpful and that you enjoyed. And if you want me to do more GPUs on this game, I do have 3 spare GPUs that were slightly, in an outlier area, so I decided to not include them for this video. With that said, thank you for watching and have a nice day. Peace.